The following program was produced or sponsored by a community member. The content, views, and opinions expressed
bring it down a little
are the
bit in
sole
here.
responsibility of the producer and do not reflect those of Malden Access Television, the City of Malden, or Comcast. MATV welcomes your comments. Call us at 781-321-6400 or email us at access@matv.org.
From the high-tech studios of Malden Access Television located in the heart of downtown Malden, it's time for Live on Tape, the television show. On tonight's program, whether we're ready or not, our guest will include the Mayor of Malden, Gary Christenson, the Director of the Malden Chamber of Commerce, Joan Ford Mongeau, and poet Robert Carr, as well as other surprises. And now, please welcome a man who is currently appendix-free, our host, Robert Carr.
Hey, audience, it's here. Yay! How you doing? How are you? Yes, audience. Show me you're alive. Yes, they are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to the show. I'm Ron Cox, your humble host for this evening. The name of the show is called Live on Tape, and now more than ever, it's that live part that has grown to have real meaning for me. Yes, I had surgery a few weeks ago. And listen, I got to tell you, I'm not a good patient. I get symptoms when I see drug commercials. You know what I'm saying? Yes, go ahead. Ron. But actually, it was quite simple. The doctor went through my belly button to get at this non-cancerous polyp, thank God. And while he was there, he also took out my appendix, just for the hell of it. But anyway, it's okay now. I'm fine. I'm actually okay. That's a signal, folks, for my Q-cal gal. But anyway, this stuff about getting old is getting old. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it. Thank you very much. The stuff about getting old is getting old. Okay. The other thing I survived is my family's biannual trip to Hawaii. Yeah, the family reunion. You've heard about it before? Yeah, I know what you're thinking. What's to survive? You've got turquoise waves. You've got sunny beaches. Tropical trade winds blowing through your leis while you're sipping Mai Tais, watching beautiful sunsets. Well, as a matter of fact, yes, there is problems because we also had family arguments, political shouting matches, and plenty of sibling rivalry. But it was all good. My family knows how to put the fun back in dysfunctional. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mayor of Malden, Gary Christenson, in the house tonight. Let's hear it for the mayor. And you know what? When he isn't picking up trash, or he's attending ribbon cuttings, or he's giving a speech at some community event, he's everywhere. In fact, he's the only Malden resident that has been on almost every MATV show. The only reason he hasn't been on Reeling, the movie review show, he hasn't done a movie yet. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor, he's in the house tonight. Thanks a lot for coming by, Mr. Mayor. Well, that's it for the monologue. You can rest assured you don't have to worry about a thing now. But thanks for tuning in. We've got a great show. Like as I mentioned, we've got the mayor on tonight. We've got, and you haven't met her yet, the new Chamber of Commerce Director, Joan Ford Mongeau, right? Still a vie, Joan. She's in the house tonight. And this incredible poet is going to be reciting some poetry. His name is Robert Carr. He's also here tonight. Let's hear it for Robert Carr. Or as he would say, Robert Carr. Either way, he's in the house tonight. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. We do have a great show, and as always, there's going to be surprises. We never know what's going to happen. It's live. Who knows what's going to happen next? So stay with us, and we'll be right back after this short message. Thanks a lot. Yes. All right, Mr. Mayor, come up over.
Whoa. Whoa. Just bust them all.
Well, how did you run the show? Good to see you. Thank you very much. Yay! Thank you very much. All right, we're back. Yes, hello, everybody. This audience is still here. I know you are. I got to wake them up. Every once in a while, I got to wake them up so they know they're here. Well, anyway, my first guest tonight, as I mentioned, you've seen him all over Malden Square, and he's been now mayor of, I think, for 8 years now. Let's talk about whether he's going to run for re-election. I think he might be. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the mayor of Malden, Gary Christenson. Gary, how you doing?
Thank you so much for the opportunity, as always.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming by. You've been on the show at least 3 times, I think,
so.
at least. And so, what's the deal? How's things in Malden? There's so many things going on.
We're doing great. We just got a report that Malden had the 3rd highest appreciation in home value in Greater Boston in 2017.
That's fantastic.
Violent crime has been trending downward, and as you saw up the street, we're closing in on finalizing
How are we doing on
the,
regular
City
crime?
Hall redevelopment. Yeah, we all have crime. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but our target since we took office has been on the violent crime front.
Yeah.
That means we don't address all crime, but that has been the target, and I'm happy to say that we're definitely trending in the right direction there.
Well, that's great.
And that's because of our police chief, Kevin Mullis, who
Yes,
is at
Kevin
the
does a
train
great job.
station right now. I just saw him before I came on here, and the men and women of the department are really doing a great job.
And how's that new police station working out?
Excellent.
It's beautiful on the
Yeah,
outside.
we meet once a week with the police chief, and that's one of the questions that I ask, as you can imagine, because of all the work that Ron Hogan, Debbie
Yeah.
Burke, Maria
all that
Louise, and
together.
others did on that. And they said it's the same as it was when it first opened,
Great. That's
about a
fantastic.
year or
Good
so
news.
ago.
Great. Well, speaking of buildings, let's talk about the building that isn't here anymore.
Yep.
And it's now starting to form the new space, and you can see the outskirts, 'cause it's kind of the shape of the new
Yep.
City Hall. Talk about that.
Never gets old talking about it. I just still can't believe it was a year ago we demolished
I know.
City Hall. I mean, it seems so much
Yeah.
longer now. But the latest update we have is we're going to take possession of City Hall in March, and then we will move in sometime in the fall of 2019, October, November.
Right.
In the meantime, residents will start moving in this summer, and the street will be available for all residents comes the spring of 2019.
Really?
Yeah,
So they're gonna
you'll be
open
able
up
to, yeah, you'll be able to,
drive-through.
the latest we have is you'll be able to travel all the way out, and you'll be able to come in from the west end up until Abbott, at which
Okay.
point you would take a right and then
Right.
a
Oh,
left
I
on
see.
Exchange.
Okay.
So it should help,
Oh,
we
yeah.
think, with that area. And some of the retail that we're hearing that's going to occupy the 25,000 square feet is going to be different retail.
Like what kind of retail?
Just, I think some of the things that folks have been asking to help diversify the
Right.
downtown.
Oh, good.
We're pretty good on certain things, so
Right.
we want to try and bring
Yeah.
in some new things.
We got
And
restaurants, that's for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and I think we're there. I can't say anything at this point, but from what I've seen in the background, I think people will be pleased.
Well, I got to tell you, one of the biggest things that happened once the building was torn down, I had some friends, and the sun was setting, and we saw it, actually, the rays coming up Pleasant Street. So we ran out,
Yeah.
and we were going, oh my gosh, you can see the sunset on Pleasant Street
Yeah,
now.
yeah. It's
So
the only
uh,
issue in 8 years that no one has called to say I have a problem with that.
Yeah. And Mayor
So-
Keller is not here to say anything.
Yeah, right. But we're excited, and hopefully it will get us to where we all want to go.
So the other thing is the condo association, the condo, it's going to be a condo. And,
Yes.
And that's kind of new idea for a city government to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Explain how that's going to work.
We're going to have a condo which we could sell at any time, but we think where it's going to particularly help us is on the deferred maintenance front. As you recall, this is kind of where why we are where we are,
Right.
which is the former building had just become so decrepit that
Oh, yeah.
we never wanted to be in that position again. So by being a condo owner, we think now we'll have the ability every year to point out to the owner that this has to be repaired, that has to be fixed. And
Okay.
if it doesn't work out, we can always sell it.
That's it.
And they are telling us that this could be the first in the state, if not the country, to have retail, residential, and civic as part of one
So
development.
people are going to be watching to see how this turns out. I think,
Yeah, we
across the
one of
country.
the other thing, we're going through the design of City
Yeah,
Hall, and I
right.
think you'll appreciate this. One thing that was agreed upon early is the chamber where all the public meetings take place
Yeah.
will be on the first floor.
Good idea.
So to almost be like you're watching NBC, you can
Right.
watch the meeting off the street. You don't even have to go in. And you'll be able to enter off of Pleasant and off of the plaza,
Right.
I think, on the backside.
So the condo fees will be used to clean up after the
Yeah,
meetings?
exactly. Yeah. Well, unless I do it. Maybe I should have asked for a discount.
Yeah, no, it's-
Maybe I should have tried
yeah,
to lower
I
that
know
fee.
it.
But yeah, we're excited. And again, the one thing that I've seen after my time in office, we just have some really good people leading our city.
Right.
And so, I mentioned before Ron Hogan, Maria Luis.
Kevin Duffy.
Yep, they've all been intimately involved, and we're closing in now on something that I think the community's been pursuing for 20 years.
Well, it's all taking shape, and that's what's so great to see that.
Yep.
Now, obviously, there's all these other things that are going on for city government, but a lot of people don't realize you've had the idea of becoming a mayor since you were a kid.
Yep.
Since you
Sophomore
were
year.
class president,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So how does it feel to fulfill your dream?
Nothing better in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all gravy now. To be able to accomplish something that you think about in
Right.
high school, I mean, it never gets old.
Yeah.
And I tell the students today that, despite what they may see on TV or read in the newspaper, that's what it's really about, is pursuing your dreams
right.
and achieving them.
And then accomplishing something, you know, for the community, giving back and all that, those good things.
It took me roughly 30 years to get there,
Yeah.
and so the other thing I try to tell some of the students coming up that it truly is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So
Right.
they're going to
Right.
be pulled left and right in their lives, but as long as they can end up back in the center and get to where they hope to in high school, there's no better feeling in
Right.
the world.
So there is some interesting things happening over at the high school. I don't know if these things you can mention. Can we mention that?
I think we can.
I think we
Yeah.
can. Why don't we
Yeah.
talk about that?
You've been heavily involved, so
Yeah.
I'll let you.
Well, we've talked about it over the last few years, and now it's coming together, and,
Yep.
and that's a Malden High School studio,
Yep.
and it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. I know you got Jim over there working
Jim
with
Valenti.
Talanzo, Jim
Yep.
Valenti,
Yep.
and it's great they're working together to make this happen. And I guess over this summer they've been buying all the equipment, and hopefully it's all being put together. I think for October
Yep,
opening.
that's the goal. I actually have a call that's going to be made to Jim to check in,
Yeah.
as I have been periodically. But we're aiming for the fall.
Yeah.
And hats off to you and Talonzo and everybody here
Well,
at
thank
Malden
you.
Access, because you kept that alive.
Well,
That's one that could have easily fallen into the black
And I'm
hole,
so
you
glad,
didn't
but
let
you've
it.
been helpful too, and it's great to be working together as a team, and I
Yep.
think that's what's so great about this whole endeavor, and it's going to be great for the students, and I know
Agreed.
Jim is ecstatic.
Yep. The superintendent is just everybody. I think
Yeah.
they're really excited about this
That's
one.
great.
At the same time, Maria Luisa is heading up the opening of a student-based health center at Malden High School. So thanks to our legislative delegation, we have some state funds. We also have some funds that the city council passed through the Community Development Block Grant. So now we're aiming for the fall to open up Malden High School's first ever
That's-
school-based health center. So
Now, that's fantastic, and the teen center I hear is losing its space. Could that be going over to the high school too? What do you know what's happening with the teen center?
well, our lease expires in the fall, so we're in current negotiations with the owner
Okay,
to
so
extend.
it might get extended.
Yeah.
Okay. well,
But if
that's
not,
good news.
it will remain somewhere.
Okay.
I mean, we just,
Yeah,
that's one
because
of
it's
our.
such for 10 years now, they kind of proved themselves.
If
how,
you
how
ask me for a
important it is.
list, that would be at the top.
That's
You know,
great.
seeing that happen and seeing all that's been achieved by Kathy McMullen and the board. They've really done, just this summer, I think they did Habitat for Humanity. And they did some trips into Boston, and
That's
so,
great.
yeah.
No, it's a great program. Kathy does a great job. The other thing I want to talk about is the river. And Malden's becoming a riverfront community now. It's
It is.
it's
If we
incredible.
can figure out a location for the Department of Public Works, watch out.
I know.
I think you'll see something similar to what happened on the Medford side on the Malden
And
end.
Everett too is doing some interesting
Yeah,
things.
they are too, but it's all about Public Works.
Yeah.
I think until we figure out, where we can move them.
It's going to be
know,
tough.
but if we could-
where could they go? Do you have any idea?
We had a spot back in 2012. It just didn't work out, so we're, continuously trying to figure out something. But, I think everybody wants to help the Department of Public Works.
Right.
It's just, the location,
Right.
how close it is to residents, and
Yeah,
et cetera.
that's it.
So,
Because right now they're,
but if we could, I foresee having water transportation there, in and out
Oh,
of
you know,
Boston.
water taxis.
I just think I could see people picnicking along the banks of the river, much like you see with the moose on the
we were at
regatta.
this a meeting last night. It was I think it's an ad hoc community meeting talking about what people want to do, how they want to get kind of a say in the development of around the river.
Yeah.
And it's clear that people want pathways, footbridges, things to happen down
Yeah,
there.
one rendering we saw was the Medford side would connect over the creek
Yeah.
to the Malden side.
That'd be great.
And you would have something similar to what John Priotto did on that side.
Which is beautiful.
But, we just have to, we're at a standstill until we figure out Public Works,
Yeah.
so.
But something's in the works.
The opportunity's
for the
there,
public works.
yes, yeah.
So 8 years now as mayor. It terms up in 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, two-
to me, it's every day, but yeah,
Yeah,
technically
right,
next year.
Right.
But I run like it's every day.
Yeah, and you do. You are everywhere. I mean, I was joking around, but it's true. It's not. It's
Well,
reality.
it's the only way I think to be effective. You have to be out there and hearing what's going on, and so I try to do as much of that as I can.
You know, it's funny. I actually have seen you. I see you picking up trash. Because one time I said, I got to go, Mr. Mayor, and you kept on going. Somebody else was across the street, saw you doing it, and they started picking up trash. So
that's
so
good.
We were
I
talking
thought
about
I was
that
the only
earlier, and
one.
I
Right,
actually
that's
saw
good.
that happen. It is pretty
Yeah, my
incredible.
goal is just to really try to make an impression on our, obviously on our residents, but more importantly our students.
Right.
Because before we know it, it'll be theirs, and
That's right.
I'm just hoping that they'll, take care of it, because we have been given a lot,
Right.
and I try to remember that every day.
Yeah, you do. So anything else in terms of your vision and what do you see for the future?
I
Besides
think the
condo?
other thing that, is still near and dear to me that was started by Mayor Howard is the future of the National Grid site.
Yes, that's another thing.
As we all know, the baseball park didn't happen, but,
Right.
We're right back at it to see whether or not we can work with National Grid to come up with something that would complement what's happening in the downtown.
Right. Because it's right there.
Yeah, so that plus Public Works, and we're also trying now to get the MBTA to start taking a look at Malden Center.
Right.
We are I think the busiest non-Boston stop with 12,000 people a day in and out. So
yeah.
we're doing our part, and so we've been trying to pitch to them that we'd love for them to do something with the Malden Center. I mean, it's really due for an upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
So we're working on that. But I think it's just a day in, day out trying to make people feel good about where they live. I mean, that's the whole point of
great.
it. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming by.
Anytime.
And again, you're a big supporter of MATV. I know that. And we're working towards a third-party agreement, which I can't wait to get that squared away.
Yep.
And again, you've always been supportive of what we've been doing. And because we're celebrating 30 years. Oh, by the way, we have a photo. I don't know if we could check that photo of Mr. Mayor giving. I got a citation for our 30th anniversary. Do we have that? We could show that. There we are.
Yeah.
And when you first said I had a citation, I thought I had to pay a fine of some kind. But,
Well
luckily-
deserved. Well deserved.
But I want to thank you for coming by. It was a
Absolutely.
great night. All right,
Anytime. Keep up the
ladies and
good work.
gentlemen, the Mayor of Malden, Gary
Thank you.
Christenson. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
All
Gary.
right, will do.
All right, stay right there. We got more show for you, so stay with us, and we'll be right back after this short message with more guests and more fun. All right.
It's a Skype. It's a Skype, isn't it?
Hello, we're back. Yes, for $5 you can take a workshop, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty incredible. So think of big ideas, and you too can get down to MATV and make it happen. All right, my next guest. She's kind of new to Malden, but she's not new to the area. She's been in Melrose for a long time,
Yes.
and just I think 5 months ago she became the new director of the Malden Chamber of Commerce. So please join me in welcoming Joan Ford Mongeau.
Wonderful
How
job
you
there,
doing?
Ron. Wonderful. I think you're the first person in Malden to
Well, I've been
pronounce
practicing
it
it all week.
correctly. Even though my in-laws were raised here, so.
Isn't it? Oh, they were. So
yes,
you're
they
familiar.
were.
Then you know
Yes,
Malden.
I have Malden blood.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, so 5 months now.
Yes.
How's it going?
I think it's terrific. I think that this is an incredibly energetic community. I love the warm welcome I receive. I haven't met a mean person yet, so I'm not willing to meet a
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
person.
they're not allowed to
No,
meet
they're
them.
not allowed in
Yeah.
Malden. That's what I heard.
That's right.
So everybody is very supportive, and I feel like we've done a lot of good work for the businesses at this point.
You really have, and I think this is a very engaged chamber. You've
Very
got a great
engaged.
board. And how many on the board? I think there's like 20.
16.
16. Okay, that's great. To
It's a
have that
great
support.
board. Yes, it is. And we have a wonderful executive committee. Everybody is so willing.
Patty
to
Kelly's doing a great
Patty
job. as president.
Kelly is amazing.
Yeah.
She works for Housing Families, as I'm sure you know, and she brings all the energy to her volunteer work that she does to her professional life. So,
great.
yes,
Now you recently just hired an assistant.
I did.
Tell us about
an
your new
assistant director. Her name is Marianne Cohen, and I've known her for many years. We call it the Chamber Sisterhood, which is Marianne used to be the executive director of the Wakefield-Linfield Chamber.
Okay.
And she has 2 teenage daughters, and she realized that 2 teenage daughters require more work than 2 toddlers.
Yeah.
So she left the executive director position, and now she is
So she's got oversight over those teens.
She's got oversight over the teens, and she can have a slightly reduced schedule
that's
and
great.
still contribute amazing things
Well,
to
that's
Malden.
great, because you've got a website you're working on. You've
Yes,
got,
we do.
plenty of promotions that you're doing.
Yes, we do.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that actually already have happened.
Yes.
Because you came in, and this, like you say, it's a very active board.
Very active.
And a lot of these things that you said, well, what is this? What is that? And but you got right in the Super Bowl thing. And tell us what that was all
Well,
about.
I got right into Taste of Malden.
Taste of Malden, that was
Yes.
the first thing.
After I figured
Yes.
out how to use the phones,
Yeah.
how to use my email, how to get to my office, how to unlock the door, then we went right into Taste of Malden.
Tell people, for people who don't know, what is the Taste of
The
Malden?
Taste of Malden is an amazing community event where we bring all of our restaurants, or those who are willing to participate, to the YMCA for a taste of Malden, for
That's
the
good.
best of Malden cuisine. Next year we have plans to make it bigger and better, and it's my hope that that will kick off Restaurant Week in Malden.
That's great. That's
Yes.
great. And they have this thing called this
So-
award for dining one week.
Yes,
at a-
so this is a very foodie town. I'm not sure if everyone knows that, but
Oh,
what a
I
big
see,
surprise that is. Yeah, so we have a raffle called the Year of Dining, and one lucky person gets to win 52 gift cards to different restaurants in Malden and the surrounding communities.
That's fantastic.
And it was
Because
one.
you did widen it out to surrounding communities too.
We
so it isn't just
did,
Malden
we
restaurants.
did, because you don't need a passport to go from Malden to Melrose,
Right.
and you
That's
don't,
great.
you know, we're a fluid group here. So we did get some outside communities to donate gift cards,
That's
and
great.
the lucky recipient was Lisa O'Laughlin.
Lisa O'Laughlin, former host of Chamber
Yes,
Showcase, ladies and
yes.
gentlemen. That's fantastic. Let's hear it for Lisa O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Now, we actually have some photographs. Why don't we take a look at the, I think the second event that you hadn't talked about yet is the Super Bowl.
Yes, the Super Bowl.
Let's show photo number 1 of the Super Bowl. Here it is. Now, what do we see now? Is this,
This is the team from Malden Overcoming Addiction. So a portion, what I love about the Malden Chamber is a portion of all of our proceeds from our events go to support a Malden charity.
That's great.
And the Super Bowl this year, the designated charity was Malden Overcoming Addiction, and this is their
With Paul
bowling team
Hammersley,
with Paul
yeah,
Hammersley
he's
and
great.
quite a crew there.
And they have a show they do down here.
I
which,
know,
which
I
is great. I
know.
think they're doing their 8th show now. Let's go to the next slide. That's another group.
Yes, that's from Wilco Systems, and Bill is one of the, he is on our board, and he's also the chair of the Super Bowl.
Aha.
So once again, to your point about the board being very active, everybody takes a chair role.
That's great.
So yes,
no, it
it's
really
tremendous.
is. It's a great board. All right, let's go to the next one. This
Oh,
is,
there I am.
Oh, there
Oh,
you are.
gee.
Holding up the plaque. Now, who's that?
Louis
with you?
Barretto.
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Now, did they
from
win
Ellen-
again?
They won again.
I think they got professional bowlers on their
I
team.
think I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that yes, so they won this year. So it was a lot of
By the
fun.
bowling shirts.
Yeah.
All right, I think we got another one. That's another group.
And that is from Encore Boston Harbor. And one of the things that makes this so fun is there's also an award for most spirited, as well as the highest score.
Okay,
so you can see these
so
people
costumes and spirit count.
they were trying very hard
Yeah.
to win the most spirited.
That's great.
Yeah.
They're probably giving out coupons for gambling too. So what's this?
This is the Year of Dining raffle.
Okay, so you
which
gave
was-
out the award. Where's this
This
building?
is at 480 Main Street, or better known as Halstead at Malden Square.
Oh,
and they hosted
wow.
an after-hours event for us,
That's
which we
great.
think networking is incredibly important.
Yeah.
We have great social media, but I think the face-to-face, the
Yeah.
one-on-one is
You
still
can't beat
very
that. It's
important.
still important,
So
yeah.
we had a great group, about 35, 40 business chamber
I'm
members
sorry, I
there.
missed that one. I think it was on vacation then.
Yeah.
Fighting with my family, actually.
Yeah, I think you were missing that day
So,
too.
what's the next one? We have one more, I think, and this is Lisa, I think, getting the. I think there's one more of Lisa.
Is there one of Lisa?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is.
I hope it's not the one with me in it.
No, there isn't?
Yay.
They lost it?
Good.
Oh, what
Because
happened?
I'm in that, and I don't like that picture at all.
Oh, but it had that big Monopoly thing in the back. I kind of Scrabble. Scrabble. All right, you do have it? Oh, there she is.
Oh, there she. Oh, good. They
A former
photoshopped me
host.
out. Wonderful. Yes.
So is that a magnetic Scrabble
that is
game?
a magnetic Scrabble board. So
Oh, I
if
wanna
you
go over
live,
just to
if
play
you
that.
live there, you get to play it. So all the
really?
time. There you go.
Can you crash there?
Oh, I'm sure you could. That is Lisa with her winnings, and she works for Home Instead Senior Care.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, geez, I'd like to hopefully keep her involved, and maybe she should come down
Oh, I
and work
think
on the show.
so. I
That'd be
think
great.
so.
Well, let's talk about, let's see. Oh, we were going to mention members, how you were talking about how you work with nonprofits, but what's great about the membership of this chamber isn't just Malden. People can be members. You
Absolutely
can be
not.
businesses, like you
Yes.
say, on the fringe outside Malden area,
But
which is a great idea.
the focus is supporting Malden.
Yep.
And so we do have a lot of businesses who are we call them border businesses.
Border business.
And a lot of their customers come from Malden. So they're
So
very
that makes
interested
sense.
in being part of our business community.
great.
So it works out very well for everybody.
Well, that's all. Well, you're doing a great job.
Well,
I
that's
know
really nice.
you had big sandals to fill.
Yes, I
With
did.
Jenna.
I did.
And I always told Jenna she had big loafers to fill when
When Ted
was
left,
here.
yes.
But it's been great because we've always been good people filling.
Well, thank you. I
taking-
appreciate that. I
taking over.
appreciate the support.
Now let's finish up with the idea that the chamber is 125 years old, right?
Yes, yes.
It's one
an
of the
old
oldest chambers around.
Yes, it is. And we're one of the largest.
Really? Oh, that's
Yes,
good to
we
know, too.
are. In terms of the local subarban chambers, we're one of the largest.
That's great. So where's the chamber lolocated? If people
We
want
are
to get a
at
hold
2
of it.
Maplewood Street, over in Maplewood Square. Best way to reach me, you can call the office, 322-4500. I'm so good with email. I love email, director@maldenchamber.org.
That's great. So there's plenty of ways to get a hold of Joan. That's great to know.
Can I plug Comedy Night?
Of course you can. It's coming in October.
October 18th, we have
Well,
comedy.
this show will be seen all the way through August and September. So
All right, we have Comedy Night coming out on October 18th, and once again, the incredibly generous Anthony Dakotas of Town Line Luxury Lanes has donated Mix 360 for the location.
that's a great space.
We have our charity partner will be Cambridge Health Alliance, and we are going to have Dave Russo from Malden, Paul Gilligan from Malden. We're also having Anthony Sabelli, who has Malden roots, and Lenny Clark.
Oh, Lenny Clark, he's a big name. That's
And
wonderful.
because it's October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and a portion of the proceeds will go to the Breast Center at Cambridge Health Alliance, Julie Nolan, who is an amateur
Yeah,
comedian
who's now
from
making pretty good. Yeah.
Melrose.
She used to do a show.
She
in
did used to
Melrose.
do it, and she did. And I've been a guest on her show
There
too.
you go. That's great. I have too. I've been
Yeah,
on
so
it.
I'm gonna, the judgment's out. Who's
Yeah.
better, you or Julie?
No,
But,
we'll find out.
Yes, but I think, but she will be the female comic.
That's
so
great.
it's going to
Well,
be
she's
a
good.
wonderful
she's
evening.
very funny. She's got a whole perspective of looking at life. It's very
Tickets
funny.
will be available. They are currently available if you call the chamber or email me,
Okay.
but they will be available
And I'm
online.
selling tickets too, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to get tickets, I have 10 to get rid of.
Oh,
Some.
I only gave you 8.
Oh, 8.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I have 8.
yeah,
I should have
just
checked
8.
the envelope.
I gave you a little
Yeah,
break.
all right, I got 8. So come on down and buy some tickets. Okay, well that's wonderful. And
you,
so you're
Ron.
loving the job.
Love
looks
the
like.
job.
That's
Love
great.
it. Thank
That's
you.
great. Well, thanks for all the work. You do
Thank
great
you.
work. Stay right there. Don't go away.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Joan Ford.
Do it again,
Mongeau.
yes.
All right. Au
Wonderful.
revoir. So stay right there. All right. We got more guests coming. We're going to have some poetry in a few minutes. So stay with us, and we'll be right back after this short message. Thank you.
I'm Howard McGowan, and I'm Public Access.
Oh, forgot. You can hit the light number 2. You can hit the. Oh, we're back. All right, hold on. Yeah. All right, no, hold on. Yeah. Well, yes, you can do it. All right, we're back. Hi, how you doing? It's a live show, ladies and gentlemen. We're making this up as we go along. This is beautifully That's how we do it. Don't do it yet. I'm going to introduce him, and then we're going to switch the lighting. All right, my next guest. He's an incredible guy. I met him at a party, and I was enthralled by his persona, but we're going to find out more about him. He's the author of Amaranth, did I say it? Yep. A chapbook published in 2016, and it's a 2017 Pushcart-nominated poet. Robert is associate. Yes, you can clap. Robert is the associate editor for the Indolent Books, based in Brooklyn, New York. Recent work has appeared in Arts and Understanding magazine, Plentitude magazine, Bellevue Literary Review, Radius Literary Magazine, Pretty Owl Poetry, and many other productions and publications. So at this time, we're going to switch the lighting, and ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert Carr. No, switch the lights. Switch the lights. Bring out. No. All right, go ahead.
Are we there?
Yeah, we're not really there. But
Yes, you are there.
All right, great.
go ahead. Okay.
So thank you, and
He's going to do it. I want to switch the light. Here we go.
all right,
Now.
all right.
You had to turn off the other one. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Carr.
Thank you, and thank you, Ron, for inviting me. I just wanted to start by saying I've been in Malden as a resident here for almost 15 years, and there's really an extraordinarily vibrant writing community in all of the towns around this area. I took a long route toward poetry. I've actually started as a creative writer, and then around that time was the beginning of the HIV epidemic. And so for the past 30 years, I've worked in public health, responding to the HIV epidemic. Much of my poetry deals with those issues and those experiences. And what poetry really is for me is an opportunity to go back to beginnings of one's life and to really look at where the issues that we all lived through in the HIV epidemic, really an intersection of sexuality and illness and death, what those things meant to us. So I have a poem. The first poem I'm reading is called Clay. The child curls in a grassy flannel field of mounted cowboys and cattle brands. He fingers the flat white buttons along the edge of his pajamas. His mother reads his favorite, Gentle Ferdinand the Bull, cork tree shaded before the sting. She wears her black fur coat. Her hair is fancy. His small hands burrow in the perfumed pelt. Clay is right downstairs. Sleep tight. She kisses the palm of his hand and closes the door. He hears Clay laughing and the TV show. His darkened eyes, his sleepy lashes lull and start. An inverted L of light appears and disappears. The door silently opens and closes. The flashlight's green eye approaches. He can't see the blue-veined hand that holds it. Playing possum. His darting eyes open just a crack as three-ringed light scans the rodeo of his pajamas. Clay rolls the boy onto his back. The flashlight, resting on the bedside stand, makes magical rings on the ceiling, exposes hairline cracks in plaster. In the outer oval, where the curtains hang on their rod, the boy imagines Charlotte in her web and goes to sit beside her. This next poem it's about someone I met early on in the epidemic. I lived in Maine at that time, and I was a young single man at the time and very attracted to this man at the bar, and got to talking to him and found that he had come down from Skowhegan, which is pretty far up in Maine, with his partner at the time, and spent 3 days at Maine Medical Center where his partner was dying. And he was out in the world. And so there's a really interesting way that HIV transformed the way we approach intimacy. And though caring and loving for his husband who was dying in the hospital, all that he was looking for that night was a connection and an intimacy with someone who was healthy. Font. I like your blonde curls in bar light. The silver foil peels from a beer. There's a little ocean in your green eyes, a lot of sad. You talk about the drive down from Skowhegan, pulling over twice so he could heave. A long day of waiting at Maine Medical, beloved backbones, a constant reminder the body once had weight. I take you to my room, the Motel 6 in Portland. You whisper how he's lost the strength to walk, so for weeks you've carried him like a child learning a waltz. You tell me how, lifted from the bed, he places lesioned soles on top of your feet, how you walk backward toward the bathroom, how in all those weeks you haven't cried. You roll white socks, slip them into Reeboks. After apologetic sex, I tell you, get up. Towering, I tell you, put your feet on mine. Arms wrapping shoulders, cheek against chest. I walk us to the motel window. Listen to your jag of breath. Whimper of weeping for a man I'll never meet. I memorize the font of a red 6, the cigarette smell of your hair. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after this short message.
Just bust the move.
Thank you very much. Yay! Thank you very much. That's right. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. All right. Incredible reading from Robert Carr. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet the poet himself, ladies and gentlemen. Robert Carr. How you doing, Robert?
Good to meet you.
Robert, that was wonderful. That was absolutely wonderful stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, obviously, the AIDS epidemic hit a lot of people, and now it seems like not in the press. But so what is the story in terms of where that is?
Well, you know, the pandemic is really very much still with us.
Yeah.
It's changed tremendously, and so I'll be in Los Angeles in September with a panel of poets who are writing about HIV through the early years. One woman who lost her son in '93 and has just completed a book in dialogue with him. And I think that what I feel is that the issues that we faced through the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s have transformed. You know, there is actually a pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is called PrEP, which is more effective than most vaccines.
Really?
but there is tremendous stigma, particularly for young gay men who are looking for medication from their doctors. And there's, as there was throughout this epidemic, all kinds of judgment about what it means to protect yourself, what safe versus unsafe sex means, what PrEP means for people. And so the judgments and overlays of that many of us have around sexuality and sexual choices makes it still very challenging and complicated for young people who are healthy and sexually active and alive and living their lives. So I think the issues are very different, the times are very different, but the pandemic is with us. And on a global level, we're challenged still on all kinds of fronts.
Now, you've got a different administration in office right now in terms of the presidential leadership. How has that affected things in terms of
Well, I'm going to talk about poetry because I think it's really relevant. I think that what I'm experiencing is that there are a lot of people from all different points of view and political perspectives who are uncertain, who are frightened. And what I'm finding in my community of poets is that this is a time for people to write about that, to put words to it, to help people to find ways to make sense of what seems like a tremendously unstable environment on all kinds of levels.
And poetry is art, and it transcends politics, I think, in a lot of ways.
And confronts politics.
Yes.
And I think that those confrontational voices are important voices to listen to, and to make sure that they're not silenced.
Well, it's great that you're doing this work. Now, you had done poetry as a young person and got busy working, and now you're coming back into it. How'd that happen?
I did. So I actually had a little creative writing scholarship when I was coming out of high school in the late 70s, which I turned down. I went to Bates College, and I actually studied poetry and writing and philosophy while I was there, and I graduated in 1982. Which was the very beginning of the HIV epidemic in this country. And I really felt at that point compelled to be involved in response, which I never would have imagined being in a public health career, but that's where I've been for the last 30 plus years. And so for me, as I look at different chapters in my life and what's coming next, it feels like this is a way to describe some of those experiences, to make observations about where we've been and where we're going,
and also, touches people.
And also to find a creative voice that hopefully resonates with people.
Well, it certainly does. It was wonderfully read and beautiful poetry. Well, let's talk about this book. Is this the book?
So this is not the book. This is the first book.
This is the first book. All right, this is the first one. So the one coming out has a different cover. Okay.
So I'm actually very excited.
We actually have a graphic of this we could put up. There it is.
So this is my first book, chapbook, published by Indolent Books in 2016. It was a tremendous opportunity with the editor there, Michael Broder, and I've had tremendous support in bringing that book into the world. I'm very excited that in January, my first full-length collection will be published by a press out of New Mexico, Three Atals Press. And
what's the title of that?
That is called The Unbuttoned Eye.
Oh, The Unbuttoned Eye, wow.
And that is a full-length collection that deals with many of the themes of sexuality, but also the HIV epidemic and sort of the evolution of culture in the gay community. And so that will be coming out next year.
Well, that's wonderful. We do have a photograph, and I got to tell you, I love this photograph of you. It look like this is your PR photo. Look at this. Unbelievable, huh? Look at that.
Lighting is amazing.
Isn't it?
Isn't it fantastic?
Yeah, we get
so
people to sign that book.
This is my author's photo, but it's actually a Cambridge photographer, Sharona Jacobs, who specializes in images for artists and writers. So I was really
That's
had
great.
the honor of
Great to
working
have
with her.
that.
Yeah.
Now, people might not know it, but you've picked Malden to be a place to live in, which
Yes.
is, we
Yeah.
appreciate that.
No, we've been here for almost 15 years.
What made you pick Malden? Just curious.
Well, actually, my husband and I raised our son with a lesbian couple who lived in Medford, and Medford, Malden, it was
It's
perfect.
a sister city. There you go. It only makes sense. There you go.
And
That's
easy access
fantastic.
to the high school.
That's great. That's great.
So he's just turned 25 recently, and that's that history.
So what are the odds of you going full-fledged into poetry and leaving the jobs you're doing?
Talk to me, it's 100%. Talk to my husband, it's about 50-50.
Well, it's good to have
Suppose he
something on
doesn't
the
pay.
side. It's good to have something on the side. Yeah, I remember I tried freelancing, and it's a difficult thing.
It
It
is,
really
it
is.
is,
I
yes.
called
But
it pay-lancing, and it still
you know
didn't
what?
help.
But seriously, I feel like I'm very blessed to have some talented teachers and partners helping me into this world of poetry and writing, and many of them are right in this area.
You just had a reading a few days ago. Where was this reading?
So that was an amazing event. So every year there is a event called the Boston Poetry Marathon, which is held over in Cambridge, and this started on last Friday night, into the late Friday night, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. 130
Wow.
poets from the area reading for 8 minutes each. Some really astonishingly talented people.
They took breaks, I'm sure.
They took breaks. They took breaks.
But so how was the attendance? How people?
So for those full 3 days, there were between 20 and 30 people in the
very
room
nice.
at all times,
great.
and it just went from one amazing reading to the next.
Now, obviously, poetry, there's the writing part, and then there's the performing part that we saw tonight. And I got to tell you, it was the room was so quiet that while you were reading. Tell us about what do you like best, the writing or the presentation?
It's very different. And poetry is an interesting thing as compared to sort of visual arts.
Right.
So you go to a gallery and you
Right.
see a painting on the wall, and it's like beautiful. There it is.
Right.
There it is. With poetry, there's a great saying: a poem is never finished; it's only abandoned.
Really, isn't that interesting?
And it's because if you look through this copy that I read from, there are poems that are published, they're in a book, they're sort of in the world. I'm still rewriting them.
Really? So you never let
And-
go of them? Is that it?
Do you come back to them, and there's something that you want to do different with them, and that's always the case, and that's why some of the visual artists that I'm close with say I couldn't stand it, because
Yeah.
you're always exchanging work, and you're editing
Right.
each other's work, and you're saying, well, what if you did this, and I don't really understand what's happening here, and so it's a constant sort of iterative process of creation, and
Yeah.
and so you get to a point. Sometimes it's publication, sometimes it's you just feel like it's there, and choose to bring it
Right.
into performance. But I really do. I think that poetry it can be very powerful when it's spoken word.
Yes,
and
you proved that, I think, tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have certain editors that, what is it like working with an editor? You have editors say, yeah, that's all, you're almost there. What do you do
I've
with
had
that?
a really great experience with editors
do.
because what I have found is they've encouraged me to say, this is what I see. If it feels right for you, and if it feels right for your voice,
Really?
take it, make the change.
Well, that's
If
encouraging.
it's not, then don't. So don't make it something that's not yours. And so that's really a gift when you're working with a publisher who's
That is.
who's giving you ideas, some of which are very good and help you to strengthen the work, but they're also supporting what your voice is and what your vision is for what you're doing.
Giving you the freedom to do it, which
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love to hear another poem. But
I-
to do this, you want to read it here? Or
I think maybe here would be
oh,
great.
okay. Well, that solves the lighting issue.
And so that solves
'Cause
the
I'm
lighting
going,
issue. I'm all
"Yakes."
for solving the lighting issues. So actually, this one I chose deliberately because, as you can tell, I deal with a lot of themes that are sometimes tough. They're not easy poems
easy.
to listen to or to hear. And so this story on this one is that I had a tradition is that I would read a poem at the holidays
Okay.
with my family. This is called the holiday poem. I read my poetry at the holiday table, but this year was told explicitly, don't. This year, Dad brought his own poem by his favorite author, Mary Oliver. So my father convenes my court and opens Blue Horses. He reads about yoga, being unable to touch his toes as Mary turns into a lotus. My sister breathes for the first time in 10 years. This is the best Christmas ever. It seems not everyone enjoys tears at the table or the blood of dead mothers in their cranberry sauce. I decide to forgive myself. Let the soft animal of my body love what it loves and curl up on the couch.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So that really happened? You read the poem at Thanksgiving dinner?
I did, and then I was told no.
Don't do it.
No, we know Mom's dead. We don't want to hear about it.
Yes. But again, I think the role of the artist, it does bring the message through, but done in such a way that it does touch the soul, and I love that. It's very good.
If we're successful, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
well,
so
I
much.
think you
Thank
have
you.
that. And obviously the subject matter is so important. So let's actually talk about your job a little bit. So in terms of how that's going, obviously, where is it out of? In Boston?
So I've been with the Department of Public Health for over 30 years. Started with the HIV program, which evolved into Massachusetts infectious disease response.
So statewide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And so there are a number of really important programs that are there, and a lot of people who are very passionate about them. So it includes the Sexually Transmitted Disease Division, our tuberculosis response, refugee immigrant health, our full epidemiologic response to foodborne illness and other infectious disease, our HIV office, which has programming throughout the state, including in Malden and other areas. That includes prevention and care services for people.
Do you work with the schools, education-wise?
There have been a number of educational initiatives, and then we run the full statewide vaccine program.
Okay.
So that's very much connected to teachers and school nurses and making sure kids are vaccinated. And so
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you're a busy guy. So if some young kid was starting out today and wanted to be a poet, what advice would you give them?
Wow, I've never been asked that question, but I think what I would say is figure out what your voice is and really find mentors and teachers that can bring you into craft and read other poets.
There you go, yeah.
Constantly read other poets.
Well, great advice. That's fantastic. Well, I appreciate you coming by.
Oh, pleasure to
Robert.
be here.
We haven't had a poet on, I think, in quite a long time. We've been doing this show for 25 years, so I think you're the first poet in the last 10 years.
No, well, it's a
Thanks
pleasure
for
to be
coming on the
here.
show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and applaud this incredible poet, Robert Carr.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
stay right there. Stay right there. I don't think we go anywhere. Okay, we have a few more minutes, and I think I'm on camera one. Right. Okay, there we are. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in. We had a great show tonight. I want to thank the mayor, Gary Christenson, who found time from picking up the trash to come down here and be on our show. Let's hear it for Gary Christenson. And I want to thank Joan, the new director of the Malden Chamber of Commerce, Joan Ford of Mongeau. Let's hear it for her. And again, Robert Carr, fantastic. Let's get him on my hand for Robert Carr. Or as it say, Robert Carr. Show off my international language. All right, I seem to have to stretch it. I'm looking at 4 minutes, I think, right? 4 minutes? Okay. All right, well, here's my pitch, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we're doing this show once a month, and what we're trying to do is get more people down here to get involved as part of the crew. And not only that, we want people to help come down here and do line segments. And people might say, what is a line segment? Well, those are portions of the show that you can create and contribute, and they can be funny little bits that you might come up with. You might want to go out and shoot scenes of Malden or come up with something entirely on your own, and we'd use it as part of our show. So it isn't just people behind the cameras that we have tonight, which is a great thing, people in the control room who are helping direct and switch and do an audio, but we want people to also be part of the show and contribute to its development. So if you're looking for something to do, and or you have an idea for a little segment of a cartoon or some kind of statement you want to make, come on down to METV, get involved with Live on Tape, and we'll put you to work. And we do the show once a month, so we're always planning the next show. Right now we're planning this show for September. We're always a month ahead planning, so we do it once a month. And we tend to do it on the third Monday of the month. This is the third Monday of the month, right? Sometimes I lose track. With my surgery and going to Hawaii, these things happen. So now we're down to 5 minutes. Oh boy, did I miscue this one. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll talk to Robert some more. Since Robert is still here. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen him before many times.
Hey!
You actually heard some of his poetry. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back, after a short hiatus, Robert Carr.
I'm the second poet to appear in 10 years.
I know it. We wanted you back.
Thank you. How about if I read a couple more poems?
Come on, do it, man.
All right.
Better than killing
So
5
actually-
minutes with me talking.
Actually, I'll read this one. This is because I mentioned my mom. And she died 15 years ago now of pancreatic cancer. But she was extraordinary in the way she embraced her illness and wanted to just take every drop out of life. And so just about a month before she died, it was the Boston Flower Show. Wow. And she wanted to be there. So we rented the wheelchair, we brought her down to the Boston Flower Show, and this is our experience taking her through the flower show. The flower show. Mama melts away beneath the shoulders of her butter yellow suit. We hold tight to arms, to handles of a borrowed chair. Winter cheekboned eyes cast the red-rimmed pouch of orchids as we wheel the flower show. The air is earth, a forced bulb backlit landscape, a rubber black walkway. Out of order, hyacinth spikes beside delphinium, dogwood pops summer buttons over confused crocus. No one would guess. Koi turn slowly in their lotus pool. Chair spokes catch the crease of her yellow jacket, ruined. Mannequins wear crowns of sunlit replica. Water streams over the drilled skull of a fountain globe. Smiling, she asks if I remember bathing in her sink.
Oh. You got one more? Do we have time for one? Yeah, we have time for one more.
Okay.
We don't have time for one more.
2 minutes.
All right, we're going to wrap it up, I guess.
Okay,
You don't have a poem
good.
that's that short. We don't want to rush you. Get me quick, more quick. Go ahead. All right, this is Robert Carr. Fantastic. You elevated this show significantly, Robert. All right, well, again, we're over here. I want to thank you all again. We'll try this again. Thank you for watching. Remember, we're live on the third Monday of the month. Right, third? And come on by. We're always looking for a studio audience, so come on by and check us out. See you next time on Live on Tape. Bye-bye.